Hello, everyone. It's Brian here in Toronto, which of course is in southern Ontario. And today I'm finally getting to the thread started by Daryl, also known as the Northern Vinyl Guy, and he lives in northern Ontario. In fact, I'm looking at his channel right now and it says, I hail from a small town in northern Ontario. I actually hail from a small town in southern Ontario. I'm not sure exactly where he is, just northern Ontario. If you look at a map, it's northern Ontario is enormous, so I don't know exactly where he is, but I think I'd rather live in southern Ontario. But anyway, he has currently has 95 subscribers on his way to 100. He started this thread when he was around 50, so he's doing well getting to 100. He has 28 videos, so you should visit his channel and see if you like it and maybe subscribe to him. So there are four components to this thread, which I will do, and well, let's just get started. First one, show a 45 that you have in your collection from a band or artist from Canada or anywhere else if you don't have one. Bonus marks if it's from 1979. So I can almost do this if you've been with my channel for a while. You may remember that some time ago I did a video in which I showed in almost my entire 45 record collection. I left a few out because I was going to do a separate video on them in conjunction with some other topic, but I never got to it. But I don't have that many. I bought them when I was a kid. I don't really buy them anymore, though I have acquired a few. So I can answer most of this. I can give you a Canadian artist from 1979 on a 7-inch record, but it's not a 45. And this is from a band called The Government. And this is called 33 and third RPM EP. And of course, I've seen many other examples of 7-inch records that are EPs that are on pressed at 33 rather than 45. So The Government is hard to know how to describe them. They're, I guess, nominally a punk new wave band, if that makes sense. They were kind of legendary in the Queen Street West club district in Toronto in the late 70s and into maybe 1980. Their second record and their last came out in 1980, or the last full length anyway. Quirky, kind of avant-garde, experimental, and funny. It's important to note that. I have almost everything they released. I'm missing a true 7-inch 45 RPM record called Hemingway Hated Disco Music. I've actually found it twice, and I decided not to buy it on both occasions because it was kind of expensive, so I left it behind. But it's the only thing I'm missing from them. But they only released 2 full lengths and some other things. But this is fabulous. If you want a bit of homework, I'm going to suggest that you go to YouTube and type in The Government and Flat Tire, which is the first track on this EP. And there you have encapsulated in a few minutes. How long is that track? It's only 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Everything you need to know about The Government. Well, almost everything you need to know. So this has Flat Tire, Get You Sleeping, Zippers Are Fire, and if you want another assignment, also look up Sponge. Hilarious. So that is very cool. I've had this not since 79, but for a very long time. And Andrew Patterson, who is the singer, is still involved in the art scene. He is a visual artist, and he has a website. I believe he still has a website, and he still has openings and shows and that and whatnot. He was the lyricist, vocalist, guitarist. I think the drummer left at some point. Robert Stewart was in the band. Edward Boyd was the drummer who left. Really cool. 1979 Canadian music. The second one is to show an album that was released in 1979, the year he was born. And I have no choice because I showed The Government. I'm going to show The Government's first full-length record, which is a crazy record. This is called Electric Eye from 1979. Now, as I mentioned, this was a very bizarre, quirky new wave outfit. It's hard to even describe their music, but they were well known in the late 70s in Toronto. This particular record, though, is quite weird. In some respects, their second record from 1980 I actually like better because it has more traditional song structures. It's really funny. It makes me laugh just to think about it. But this is a little bit different because this is actually a soundtrack to a video. So it says this disc is a field recording of The Government, accurately reproducing the songs and the soundtrack from Videocab's Electric Eye, attempting to capture one of the few true existing video performances you will hear on this pressing. The pre-tape that in performance was the oral visual backdrop for the band. The pre-tape conducts the band and is divided by the onstage vocal insertions of Patterson and Stewart. It goes on and on. Listen to these songs on Channel 1. Allow your sewage to be treated as it floats into the ocean. Now, because it's a soundtrack, you don't get the full effect because, as you can see from these stills, there is a video that's supposed to go with it, so it's a little strange. But this is actually quite interesting. Not as easy a listen as their second record, but just to give you some examples of what they're doing here, like the opening and closing tracks are Greetings from the Gutter. Hilarious. Letter to Craig is like this. It is really a letter. It's a spoken word thing. But there's really interesting stuff like I Only Drive My Car, Fumigators, Gunshot Wound, It Must Be God, Loading of Gun, Shootout and Escape. Hilarious. Interesting, fascinating. There's the small print if you can see it there. Kind of interesting. I see this from time to time in record stores in Toronto. If you're looking for the government, though, I would suggest Guest List, which is their second album. But this is fascinating. All right. Show the 50th album alphabetically in your collection. So that was a bit interesting because some people have used Discogs and sorted, I guess, by artist. But that really confounds me because in my sorting of Discogs by artist, the first thing that comes up is Till Tuesday because there's an apostrophe before the TIL. The second thing that comes up is Weird Al Yankovic because for some reason it's in quotation marks and that puts it first. The other thing, of course, is that I file my records correctly, which is to say that surname, I file them under surname. So Bob Dylan's under D, not B. So I had to count them, in other words. So I went into my shelves and I counted. And the 50th album in my collection is The Alarm. This is Declaration, their debut from '84. And they're a new wave outfit that had some sort of hits, I suppose. This one is known for, I think the big track here was 68 Guns. That's the front, here's the back. And I have to pause and just, comment on this hair. I think at the time I probably thought the hair was a bit overdone, but I would kill to have hair like that right now. I seriously would. But this is a pretty good new wave band. If you saw them, you might think they were gothy or something, but that's a new wave band. There's another image of them. How's that? There is so much hair there. Wow. And I don't even know if they're still recording music. I have the first three or four, I can't remember now, albums from them. This is not a bad record. Okay. That's the 50th album in my collection. Number 4, show an artist, band, album title or song title that has a number in it. Bonus if it's in number 100. And the very first thing I thought of was the one that Daryl used, and that's Haircut 100. But I decided to pick something that's from Canada that doesn't have the word 100, and I chose this record from a band called 8 Seconds, and the album's called Alma Cantar. This band is from Ottawa, so I'm guessing that if there's anyone in the vinyl community who knows this band, it's going to be Mike, MGK Boston, who spent time at Ottawa. Curious to see what he says about that. Here's the back. This came out in 1986. Before this was released, they had an EP which had a track that got some play on a radio station I was listening to. The track is called Where's Beulah. This album is quite popular for the track Kiss You When It's Dangerous. They followed this up with a CD that has only ever been released on CD. It's quite expensive to find now. The funny thing is about this, this is their first full-length record, and you'll see it was produced by Rupert Hine, which I always wondered how that happened. And it turns out that he had gone to some sort of outdoor music festival in Ottawa, believe it or not. Rupert Hine has passed now, but he went there. He's produced a lot of interesting new wave bands, and he expressed an interest in producing them. So he produced the first record, which is kind of interesting. And Alma Cantar, there's this alternate spelling with a U, Almu Cantar. Apparently it's, and I wrote it down, it is Alma Cantar, and Alma Cantar is a circle on the celestial sphere parallel to the horizon. 2 stars that lie on the same Alma Cantar, or Almu Cantar, have the same altitude. There you go. I also heard, and I don't know if this is true, that they chose the name 8 Seconds because at some point apparently Andy Warhol said that his idea of everyone having 15 minutes of fame was wrong, and he thought maybe it should be 8 Seconds, and I think that's where they got the name. I couldn't verify that. This band toured with various people. They opened for Bowie at some points. Yeah, they're pretty interesting. I think they have a pretty solid fan base that's still happening today, but they didn't really record very much. So this is a pretty good Canadian new wave band, I think with hints of prog. I've heard people say that. I'm not sure if it's actually true, or if I would say that. But you can see there's some sort of celestial equipment that sort of suggests astrological astronomical observation, perhaps. So, pretty interesting band from Ottawa. And that is it. So, I'm just going to suggest you go and visit Daryl's channel. I'll put the link below, and click the subscribe button if you like what you see. I'm one of the people who is heading off to the Boston region later this week for the lawn party at MGK and Patty's house. So I may do a video of my excursion down there. I'll certainly do a post event video, but we'll see how that goes. So this might be my last in-house video this week, and I'll see you on the next video, whenever that is. Thanks for watching.